The ASICS Novablast lineup has been one of my favorite running shoes since I started running back in 2020. The Novablast 1 was a Ford Mustang. Not the fastest car out there, but it definitely had some pickup. The Novablast 2, the sophomore effort. Originally, a little bit of a letdown as it did lose some speed. However, this shoe ended up growing on me. What this shoe is, Weezer's Pinkerton album. The Novablast 3, what this shoe is the Terminator, bulky, unstoppable, a machine. Still a bit underdeveloped, a prototype for the next generation, which brings us to the Novablast 4. What this shoe is a T1000. Yes, it is a fully realized Novablast 3. Transitioning back to the car analogy, if the Novablast 1 was a Ford Mustang, then the Novablast 4 is a luxury sedan. It's like they took the ASICS Novablast 1 and then they gave it a lift here and then dropped in some shocks for stability. Now, before we hop into the shoe battle, I'm gonna give you a brief rundown, a 100-mile review of the V4, which will be relevant to the shoe battle. Let's do it. Now, the biggest surprise to me for the Novablast 4 is I feel like it switched categories. Now, it's still a daily trainer, but I have two categories. One is the more minimal, like the Rebel V4, the Mach 6, something lighter, more nimble, and aggressive daily trainer. And then on the other side, you've got the more reinforced or supportive daily trainers, something like the Saucony Triumph, the 1080 V13, the Gel Nimbus. These I would categorize as cruisers. So what surprised me with the V4 is that it transitioned from the more aggressive type of daily trainer with the V1. And you know, V2 and V3, while they did lose a little speed or a little edge, I would still say that they are more of type A than type B. They're still frisky, they still had some bounce. They earned the name Novablast. Blast, fun, energetic. Those are these shoes. So it surprised me when I got V4 and I realized as I ran in it, whoa, this isn't as blasty and it's more of a cruiser type of shoe. Now, your experience after 100 miles may be different than mine, so please let me know in the comments below how you feel about it. Let's get to the shoe battle. Starting with the upper for the V1. This one is, well, the material for starters, mid at best, and very well known, the lockdown, not so great for a lot of people, so you really had to cinch down the laces, and there was some lace bite. So for the lockdown, this out of all of the uppers is coming in 4th place. For V2, we've got a Jacquard mesh, Jean-Luc Jacquard, V-nice, really forgettable, which is exactly how I like my uppers. I'm gonna put this in at my 2nd favorite upper. For V3, I wasn't a huge fan of the material. It felt a little scratchy and kind of scrunchy. I felt like it was a step back as far as the materials go. However, on the plus side of it, it was a little bit more comfortable. There was more padding in the heel collar. Despite an unstable ride, I felt there was a lot of stable lockdown with this particular shoe. For me, it's coming in at number 3, which means the upper winner goes to the Novablast 4. It also has the same padded heel collar and nice comfortable fit that the V3 had, but I like the upper material a lot better. It's still very breathable. It's that luxury sedan feeling. There's temperature controlled seatings, leather, V-nice. Winner, winner, Chick-fil-A breakfast. Okay, for the outsole, they all suck. I mean, seriously, from V1 all the way to V4, there really wasn't that much of a difference. I mean, 4, it is a little bit thicker, but this thing is still Jovi. You know what I mean? And for all you young bucks, that was a slippery when wet reference. And if you don't know what that is, you can Google it. And then you would be halfway there. Okay, so V4 wins the outsole award. If you're still watching, yeah, it goes to V4. Okay, now for the midsole, I have put 106 miles on the Novablast 4. I have put 171 miles on the Novablast 3. I have put 327 miles on the Novablast 2, And I have put 357 miles on my first pair of Novablast 1s and an additional 150 miles in a second pair. Coming in at number 4 for me is the Novablast 3 with the ride. Now, the Novablast has never been a stable shoe. These are just not a word that I think of when I think of the Novablast. However, this one felt almost like the most unstable and disjointed for me from the heel to the forefoot. I felt like it was almost like a reverse drop, and when I landed on the heel, I had to climb up over the shoe, the midfoot, to push off from the front. Now, at faster paces, I do tend to land more midfoot to forefoot, and at that landing, I really felt was best for this particular shoe. So at faster paces, all the way up, sneaky little 5K number, it is a bit heavy, but it feels really good at that pace. However, for daily training miles, most of them, I'm just looking to get out there and kind of cruise, and I land more back here anyway, and I don't want to think about my form or where I'm landing every run, every day during my daily trainer run. So for the ride, for me, this comes in dead last. Okay, coming in at number 3 on the ride is the Novablast 2. Now, this was considered largely a more stable shoe than the V1, which is considered like the most unstable. They added ASICS, they added some more foam, I think 4 millimeters in the forefoot, but this to me made the shoe kind of wobbly on a lateral side, like left to right. Like when I landed, I felt like I could bounce either way. Because the V1 had such a drop, when I landed, it pushed me forward. When I landed on this shoe, it didn't give me that propulsion forward, so a little bit of the aggressive nature of V1 was lost in this ride, which was still okay. The foam was very bouncy, and I liked this shoe all the way up to about marathon pace. And as the longer that I ran in it, the more the foam kind of softened, and I really enjoyed this shoe at easier paces. I could have loved it for long runs with marathon pace work in it. It is a very good shoe, but I still was never a fan of the instability left to right. Coming in at number 2, similar to the Novablast 2 in the ride feel, is the Novablast 4, meaning that it has a soft landing, and no matter where you land in this particular shoe, from the heel, midfoot, and the forefoot. And the problem with the 3, that disjointed feeling has been fixed, and it's a smooth transition. I really can feel a roll through that's very natural. I love this shoe for easy days, recovery days, for walking, and also like the V2, you can pick up the pace to about marathon pace would feel good. So for long runs with marathon pace, the use case, we've gone back kind of like the V2, but a more structured and more stable, comfortable shoe that I think will be very accessible to a lot of people. This has been one of my favorite daily trainers this year for sure, and I would recommend it. But that just means that the winner of our midsole battle is... The winner of the battle is the ASICS Novablast 1. I don't know why I'm talking like this, but there are 4 components of this ride that I want to talk about that I think make it the GOAT daily trainer of all time. For me, there's 4 things that I love most about running shoes in this shoe. And the first one is a 10 millimeter drop, just a big drop. Now, a lot of people, they don't like that. They make fun of Brooks Ghost for having that big drop. They like the 6 mil, the 8 mil, the 4 millimeter. I like a big drop. It makes me feel like this. It makes me feel like Michael Jackson on that lean. And when I land, it just pushes me forward. The second thing that I really like about that is that in order to have 10 millimeter drop means you're up high, then you're down low in the front. And I like some ground contact with my foot. I like to feel the ground a little bit up front, which is a consequence of the shoe. The third thing that I love about a shoe is bounce, okay? Bounce versus aggressive, snappy feel of something really firm. And the Novablast 1 was and is a very bouncy shoe. I think it was one of the first aggressive daily trainers of its kind. And when I ran in this shoe, I could not run easy. I could only run steezy because this thing was just launching me forward. Now, for the fourth component of the shoe that I really like, is the decoupled groove. You guessed it, the trampoline effect, made famous by SJD. Now, I like the decoupled groove, and I like this. In other companies, they call it something else, like New Balance calls it the Energy Arc technology, and I like shoes with the Energy Arc technology, like the New Balance SE Elite V3, and one of my other favorite daily trainers of all time is the SE Trainer V1, which has very bouncy foam. It's got an 8mm drop, not a 10mm drop. I love that shoe for all of the same reasons that I love the Novablast 1. So the winner of the shoe battle, of course, is the Novablast 1, because even though the Novablast 4 has a better upper and a better outsole, we all know it's the midsole that matters the most. So if you disagree with me, please let me know what your favorites are in the comments, subscribe and all those things, yada, yada, yada. Have a good run today. Thanks for watching.
We came alone from last place, bottom to top of the fast pace. Out of this surf, I get touchdown. I take a loss, get it back 8. I'm in the gym putting numbers up. You're never there, you got bad traits. Never excuse.